What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of my hip hop review. As you can see, I'm currently not at my apartment. I'm actually at my library and stuff like that. And the album I'm about to review for you guys today is Nas's fifth studio album, Stillmatic, released in 2001. Well, this is actually the reissue, which was released in 2002, which I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Feels kind of weird not doing this in my own apartment, but fuck it. Singles I was known for are Rule, Got Yourself the Flyers, and One Mic. And to an extent, Ether, but I'm going to get into that in a minute. Producers include Destiny Jones, who is Nasia's daughter, basically Megahertz, Baby Paul, Chucky Thompson, DJ Premier, Hangman 3, LES, Large Professor, Lofi, Mike Risco, Nas, Ron Browse, Slime Remy, Trackmasters, and Precision. I believe he put his daughter as the executive producer as long as she puts money in her pocket and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what I think. So I already reviewed Nas's first two albums. I could have reviewed the whole I Am Nostradamus, but those reviews, I really want to do that with Speaker Cloud podcast. So I'm just going to suspend my thoughts on those projects. And I also done a review on the Firm album. Yeah, I done a review on Nas's first two albums in the Firm album, which I'm surprised by that. But so after the release of that Firm album, you know, this was kind of like the beginning of Nas's commercial, like at the time, his inconsistency at the time, because I Am and Nostradamus. Actually, no special. I'm gonna get into that. Fast forward to 1998. He was originally working on a double album called I Am the Autobiography, which was supposed to have been the I Am songs from I Am. I Am was originally supposed to have been a double disc album. Not many people know that. But what ended up happening was the album itself got bootlegged. Because you gotta remember, around this time you had the whole Napster thing, and you know, downloading was really becoming popular between like the late 90s and stuff. So a couple of albums, like of course Mobb Deep's Murder Music, that got bootlegged as well and stuff like that, because that album was supposed to have came out, if I'm not mistaken, like 97, 98, one of those years. It didn't come out until like 99. And so with I Am, because that album got bootlegged, certain songs got scrapped, and those scrapped songs would end up being a part of Nostradamus. But also in 1998, you know, Nas started the cult classic Belly. All my niggas should know about that movie. Yeah, Primo, Method Man, DMX. Hype Williams directed it. Method Man, DMX was in that movie. T-Boz. That movie is a fucking classic. I'm not gonna front. Like, I wish I would have been part of that Belly review, but I might as well just do a Belly review possibly one day. And since I'm talking about like Nas, it could be like fit around this time and shit like that. So something to put that into consideration. So I Am was released the next year, and that album, a lot of people kind of criticized that album. Like over the years, people kind of lightened up on that album over the years, and in my opinion, I call that album a classic album. I really don't understand the hate that album got. Okay, so after the release of I Am, Columbia wanted to use the scrap material and rename it Nostradamus. That was released later on that same year. And Nas I think Nas also recorded a few songs as well and stuff like that. So it was like a rushed release, and the critics and fans didn't like that album. I have to be honest. When I first heard Nostradamus, I didn't necessarily think it was a bad album, but you can tell it was like a lot more commercial and stuff like that. But like with I Am, that album grew on me a little bit, but I would not call the album like a classic album, but it's an okay. It's okay. You have to be like in the right mood for it, but I'll tell you what, I'd rather listen to Nostradamus than a lot of his other releases, which I want to talk about in the future. So Nas was kind of falling out of popularity, and in 2000, you know, him and his label dropped the QB's Finest compilation, where it has like a lot of MCs from Queens, such as Tragedy, Capone and shit, Cormega, and it also has his group like the Bravehearts too. So, and this is also around the time, like between this year and the next year, that him and Jay-Z were having a beef that was forming and shit like that. Because they did have like a choice of words in the past, but this was like 2001 was the year it kind of reached a peak, because basically what had happened was basically Jay-Z went into the whole Hot 97, did a whole Takeover song, which everyone and their mom should know about that. And so Takeover came out, but the thing I loved about that performance was it was somewhat of a teaser, because that first verse he was talking hella shit about Mobb Deep, and then once he said ask Nas, he don't want to withhold. No, basically, yeah. So Nas came out with this freestyle, cause I think it's called the Stillmatic freestyle. So give me 1 second. Alright, sorry about that. He called that the Stillmatic freestyle, and he had a couple of lines aimed at Jay-Z and shit like that. He had a couple lines aimed at Jay-Z, and Jay-Z dropped the full version of Takeover, and a couple months later, Nas came out with Ether. Which I'm gonna talk about that more. And so Ether got like a lot of like love and shit like that, and so that's when Stillmatic was released. People want to call this album Nas's comeback. People want to call this album like a classic album, but let me stay tuned for what I'm about to say. Alright, so this is the album cover right here. Has Nas kind of sporting like this orange suit and shit like that. I don't know, this album cover always looks kind of cheaply made in my opinion. I don't know what it was, but something about this album cover, it's a dope album cover. I see what he was trying to do, but I don't know, it looks kind of but yeah. So this is sorry about that. This is the album cover right here, like as you see. Yeah. Of course, you know, I don't think I've showed you guys this, but this is a picture of his friend Ill Will, whom he named his record label after. He died, I think he died back in the early 90s and stuff like that. Of course, you got the song credits. Oh, I like this. He had like a tribute to Aaliyah right here, because it says rest in peace Aaliyah. Cause you know she died like months prior before this album was released. Yeah. And I don't know why Nas kind of looks like Twister in this picture, but to each its own. Alright, so the reason why I got the limited edition, I'm just gonna break this down for y'all right now. I had gotten the limited edition because of the fact that the original version, it has a song called Braveheart Party, featuring Mary J. Blige and his group called the Bravehearts, which, in my opinion, I purposely got the reissue because I didn't like the song Braveheart Party. Didn't really like the song Braveheart Party like that. I just felt like it didn't really fit the album and shit. yeah, I just felt like they didn't really fit the album. But yeah, at the same time, what's also interesting about the reissue is not only does it have like a bonus track, which I'll talk about that, but it's actually a double disc version because of the fact that it has snippets from the upcoming Lost Tapes album. So yeah, and I'm not going to really talk about the snippets. I'm just going to talk about like the 14 songs, as you would say. But yeah, the reissue, I think the reissue is out of print. So if you guys can like find it, if you guys don't like the song Braveheart Party, then that's the version of Stillmatic for you to get. Just to put it out there. Alright. So now with that being said, we have about 14 songs and I go back to work at 3 o'clock, so let's get started. Track number 1, the Stillmatic intro. Nice way to begin the album. Probably one of my favorite intros to Nas albums, period, and that's actually saying a lot. That's actually saying a lot and shit. What I got from this intro was basically talking about how his fans what I got from that is basically his fans doubting him at that time because, like I mentioned before, I Am and Nostradamus were not like good sellers and shit like that. So yeah, talking about people doubting him and shit like that. So I love that beat. Sorry about that, it was one of my roommates. But track number 2, Ether. Oh yeah, Ether. That's the diss track aimed at Jay-Z, of course. Yeah, man, very dope diss song. Not much to be said. I think what's been said has already been said. A little interesting trivia about that song. Basically, the original beat, Large Professor actually made the original beat, and there was actually another original version of this song and stuff like that. So, and I mean, excuse me, not Large Professor, Swiss Beats, he made the original version of the beat, and the lyrical content was like a lot more offensive on that version because of the fact that he had some lines where he was like, it should have been you in that plane crash and shit like that, where he was talking about the Aaliyah plane crash, which, yeah, yeah. So they scrapped it, and Ron Browse, in case you guys don't know, he was the dude who, if you guys remember that Jim Jones song, Pop Champagne, he was that dude, yeah. So he made that beat, and low-key though, just re-listening to it, and shit like that, I never really cared for the beat and shit. I never really cared for the beat. Yeah, because I just felt like the beat sounded like it wasn't finished or something like that. So, yeah. Other than that, Ether, very dope diss track. One of my, probably everyone's top 10 diss tracks of all time. Some of my favorite lines he was saying was like, wearing jazz jeans, no TECs, no car, no cash, no cars, no jail bars, jigger, no pies, no case, just Hawaiian shirts. Hanging with little C's, you're a fan, a phony, a fake, a pussy, a stand. I still whoop your ass. You 36 in a karate class. You Tabo. Yeah, y'all know about that. I just like that line a lot. And shit, because he was just going ham on that last verse. Track number 3, Got Yourself a Gun. Yeah, another single where he uses the sample from The Sopranos. Dope show, by the way. Rest in peace, James Gandolfini. Got Yourself a Gun basically talks about gun violence and shit like that. So yeah, very dope song. I love the video where he kind of paid homage to Pac and Big. Track number 4, Smoking. That song was alright. It's not really one of my favorites, to be real. Track number 5, You're the Man. That's maybe my favorite song off this album. And yeah, Large Professor made the beat for that one. You can definitely tell with that song, he was taking a few jabs at Jay-Z and shit like that. Like, for example, he has some lines like, basically, they plan was to knock me out the top of the game, but I understand the truth, it's all lame. I hold cannons that shoot balls of flame right in their fat mouth, then I carve my name. Cause you know, Jay-Z had them big ass lips and shit. So yeah, very dope, very, very, very dope song. Also, one thing that I've always loved about Large Professor and shit like that was just his way of sampling, because I love the fact how he took that sample and it's like, I don't know, the way he pitched it, he made it say like, it made it seem like the sample was just saying, you're the man and shit. So yeah, definitely a dope song. one of Nas's underrated songs and shit like that. One of Nas's underrated songs in my opinion. So yeah, You're the Man. Track number 6, Rewind. Another song that I could list as my favorite. Like, this was a very original concept for a song, basically, because as you can tell from the title, it's basically telling a story in rewind. And yet again, Large Professor made the beat to that one. He did his thing on that. A Large Professor and a Nas album is so overdue. Matter of fact, a Nas collab album with like Primo and Large P and shit like that is so overdue. But he would actually do an album with Kanye, but that's not my problem. Yeah, so he was just telling like the whole story backwards, which is very dope. Track number 7, One Mic. Another cool song, very dope song. That was actually a single, to be real. Yeah, this is maybe another one of the songs I can list as my favorite as well. Like, damn, that's 3 straight songs I can list as my favorite. That's crazy. With One Mic, basically, he was just talking about, you know, how it's just basically how hip hop basically been there for him. Like, that's what I got from it. And he's like, he's dependent on hip hop, you know. Very dope song. In an interview with Nas that he did back in I think 07, he said that he was very influenced by Phil Collins song, In the Air Tonight, which of course ironically he used a sample of that song with this song. So yeah, One Mic, Chucky Thompson from the Hitman actually made that beat, which I'm kind of surprised. by that, because I always thought, I don't know why, but I always thought LES made that beat, but it is what it is. Track number 8, Second Childhood. Yes, that is the last song to date that Primo produced for him, and I gotta be real, it's not a bad beat. It uses the same sample it uses that Roberta Flack and People Bryson sample. Second Childhood, talking about cats who don't know how to grow up and shit. Like, the first verse, he's talking about his life and as a young kid and shit. And then once the second verse comes, he tells a story about this guy who got out of prison. You know, he stays with his moms and shit like that, but it's like he treats life as a joke, basically. And the third verse is talking about this girl who fucks around with hella man and shit like that. And a lot of controversy within that verse because a lot of people thought he was talking about his own baby mama Carmen, whom I forgot to mention that she got caught up with that Nas Jay-Z beef because Jay-Z made some unflattering remarks, but yeah, that's another story for a different day. So yeah, Second Childhood, very dope song. I love that beat. A lot of people want to say that that's not like that was like a weak way for Nas and Primo to do a beat to do a song together because they're expecting something like more boom bapish, but I'll accept that. Next song after Second Childhood is Destroy and Rebuild. Yeah, this is another diss track that's really. It talks about a lot of Queensbridge rappers like Cormega, Prodigy, Nature, yeah, and how those beefs started. The beef between him and Cormega happened because of the fact, cause Cormega had left the firm. He had left the firm and shit, and that's how that beef started and shit. The beef between him and Nature kind of, I don't necessarily know exactly why him and Nature were beefing, to be honest with you, and I still have to this day can't find a legitimate answer. But the beef between him and Prodigy happened. Well, this is from I'm gonna tell you from two different sides of the story, because according to Nas, in Nas' camp, Nas and Prodigy went at it because Nas didn't like how Prodigy was repping Queens when he believed he wasn't even from Queens and shit like that. Wasn't even from Queens and shit like that, and Prodigy was dissing Nas and shit like that. Yeah, because he was born in Hempstead, Long Island, and Prodigy was dissing Nas because, if I'm not mistaken, I was reading Prodigy's book and he was talking about how Nas kind of acted a little different after Illmatic and some shit like that. It was kind of a lengthy. He did like a lengthy section on Nas talking about, yeah, but you're gonna have to read that for yourself. He was saying how Nas wasn't really himself or some shit, but yeah, Destroy and Rebuild, that's a very dope diss track right there. Some of those lines, some of these lines, I just had to laugh at some parts and shit like that. Like, he had this one line where he kind of dissed Jay-Z as well. Like, this is my favorite line. He's talking about asking a brave heart to get back your jewelry. You ain't from my hood, don't even rep QB. Nature moved to Marcy. Man, dick right in nature, nothing else to say. Marcy, because Jay-Z, of course, is from Marcy and shit, so yeah. And so with the song, he takes like a more slick Rick approach by just the way he was rapping and shit. Even from the intro, he's like, "This is a journey to the world's most largest and notorious projects, Queensbridge." And he was just going in, basically. He was just going in on these niggas, and yeah, man, I can't get mad. I can't get mad about that. Yeah. Yeah, so Destroy and Rebuild, that's that song. Track number 10, The Flyers, featuring AZ. This song, LES produced that song for him. Very dope song. That's a nice braggadocio song right there. Track number 11, Rule, featuring Amarie. That was the first single off the album, but it wasn't really promoted that well, to be real with you. And yeah, a lot of people forget that was the first single of the album, so yeah. What I got from that is somewhat of like a sequel to If I Ruled the World, and it's just talking about like a lot of stuff that's going on in the world and shit like that. And you can tell like this was a song that he wrote after like 9/11 basically, because 9/11 was still fresh on like everyone's minds at that time. It still is fresh on everyone's mind. So yeah, it was just like one of those moments when just the world stood still, to be real with you. After Rule, track number 12, My Country. Um, yeah, very cool song and shit like that. Another slept on song. That song actually features this cat named Millennium Thug. Nas is over here talking about how the U.S. government loves to hold people back and shit like that. Um, Track number 13, What Goes Around, featuring Keon Bryce. This beat was actually the first beat that Slum Ramy did for Nas and stuff. And you guys should know the history between Salam and Nas. So what I got from What Goes Around is talking about just brainwashing, how people will believe in one thing and they'll just let that, how people want to believe in one thing and accept that as it is and stuff like that. So yeah, very cool song. The beat was alright. The beat was alright on that one. And since this is the limited edition, the bonus track, Every Ghetto, is a bonus track. Self-explanatory, is talking about his experience living in the ghetto and shit like that. So yeah. Now the reason that before I get my thoughts, the reason that Braveheart Party was not like really on the album was because it was actually Mary J. Blige who, according to my sources, Mary J. Blige who wanted to take the song out the album because of the fact that what was I about to say? Just for personal reasons from what I've heard. So that's all I heard about that. Alright, and overall, this is a classic album in my opinion. But it does have a few gripes though. Some of the beats on this album, I was just kind of, it wasn't bad though. Trust me, the beats were never bad. But some of the beats, I just wish it could have been like a little bit better. But lyrically, Nas was on point and shit like that as always. Some dope. You can tell he was going like a little political with this album, which I fucking love. Yeah, he just came back with the vengeance and shit. Basically, just came back with the vengeance. That it's like Jay-Z just woke his ass up in a way. But yeah, this album, very very good album, classic album. If you're a Nas fan, you don't own this album. I don't know what to tell you. And just to let people know, this album is not a sequel to Illmatic. No matter what the title says, he just wants to put that to say that he still got it. He's still Nas, no matter what people say, no matter what the critics and fans say, he still got it, basically. So, Nas, Stillmatic, 2001. If you can find a reissue, cop it, basically. If you don't like Braveheart Party. Alright, and that's all the time I have for this album. Stay tuned for more. Peace.